A poster shared a thought that I thought was brilliant, and I'll share it with you. He said, "It feels like the conversation worth having now isn't just about how to play at a high level, but how players who already meet that standard navigate a very different professional ecosystem than the one that existed in previous decades." Welcome to another episode of And Nothing But the Truth. This is a fascinating comment, and it allowed me to answer the thought about players who have already met the high standard of professional playing and how they might go about acquiring careers in this particular time in music history. There's a couple of thoughts to share about this, and the first one, maybe it's the basic thought that I'll use in this video, which is that people who wish to acquire not only a regional following or a national following, but also an international following, and to do so requires the use of the internet, of course. People set up websites, people do videos. Let's look at, I would refer to him as the most popular and the best two-handed tapper in bass today, Charles Berthoud. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. I believe it's Berthoud, right? Charles Berthoud. I'll say it because I think that's what it is. Charles' following is amazing because he deserves it. What does he deserve it for? Why does he deserve it? Because when he came to put his playing, his art on the internet, he was already at such a high level and in such an original manner that nobody could deny it. It was attractive enough to get people to follow him, and his success is obvious. Where bass players might want to learn from him and take a page out of his book is to understand that the things that he does and all of the particular unique and special and sort of individual ways that he approaches the bass probably, if not entirely, are self-taught. I realize that he went to Berkeley, but the principles that he acquired were acquired through self-exploration, and it was done for a long time, and it was done for a long time before anybody heard his name. Bass players today that I've seen online essentially sound fairly much the same. People sort of slap the same, people play solos reasonably the same way with reasonably the same tone. There is a lot of similarities, and people post in order to get a following, just like Charles did. I think it would be important to point out to people that until people find something unique, which comes after a long time of musical introspection, that the career or the playing at the high level and people wanting to get a career in this particular ecosystem, this one, the internet era, are possibly not going to acquire what they want until they learn how to play, and play in ways that is absolutely different. Different so that people who will hear them, just like they did when they first heard Charles, they said, "Holy moly." That was actually the term they used, holy moly. I heard a guy say, Milli Vanilli. And people just said, this is somebody we're going to follow. The flaw in the thinking of bass players is that the pursuit of what he does without doing it uniquely might attract followers. It's rare that this happens because Charles is an original at this, and most everybody else are imitators of it. The four-finger slap, that I don't know how to do it, that people were very intent on learning. Once one learns it, they essentially end up sounding like the person or persons that innovated the style. When people emulate other musicians, but don't move past that so that they can develop something new and then present that to people on the internet, are essentially causing themselves not to have a following and not to have a career. It's originality that will get you a following, which brings me back to the things that I shared that a lot of people disagreed with. So I'll use your thoughts that it isn't. I had said that if you want to get a career, you want to get a gig, if you wish to be heard and have people hire you, or in any area that you are pursuing in order to work, you have got to play better than the other guy. And that's all there is to it. A lot of people disagree. They say, well, you got to be a nice person. You got to learn empathy. You got to learn how to communicate. And I thought to myself that these principles equal the now debunked VARC, the now debunked left brain, right brain, the now debunked Mozart effect. There are principles that were highly regarded and taught until committee investigation had shown that they're flawed. The nature of your being a good person and learning how to communicate and being empathetic. The essential truth is this is flawed and even an educational lie, in my opinion, because most people are good and most people know you don't go into an audition and act poorly. People know you don't go to a job interview and act poorly. There is a sensibility about this, so that when it was taught that people had to count on behavior as equal to music, I believe almost instantly this became equal with flawed principles of teaching, as well as maybe even minimized, since this wasn't the focus anymore. You've been had, in my opinion. Had not in a kind of the Fagin manner, where it was a con. Teachers don't con people. Teachers believe in what they believe. But it does bring me back to the fact that teachers shouldn't be teaching for the most part, because they don't understand that if you play better than the other guy, you can get the gig. And let's look at Charles Berthoud as an example. By being involved as a total anonymous guy, I mean a complete unknown, a kid at school, a kid that maybe did his thing and had some vision and followed it and did it for, if you ask him, he probably will tell you he did it for years. And this acquired him something special. Where people are in difficulty, I believe, is that because you're following his lead without innovating on it. You gotta do something that people don't do, or present it in a way that people don't present it. I hear bass players all the time, far more technique than I ever had. Brilliant, astonishing. But I've heard it a lot. You've heard it a lot. I heard a walking bass teacher use a metronome the other day, and I know that people state that metronomes are supposed to keep you in time. The bass player was off the click almost by a 16th beat or less. Ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. And I commented about it and got told off, and I'm all wrong. See, look, people, I'm looking out for the truth of bass education, and I'm looking out for people who won't hear the truth of bass education other, I believe, than from me, because I love people and I love music and I know what the truth is. Now, in regards to presenting and using the online services that are available, the gentleman continued, that raises a different set of questions for younger bass players, that not instead of musicianship, but alongside it. But therein lies the problem. People are not associating musicianship with the technical reality and method of being heard today. Musicianship is almost a second-guessed approach, whereby it almost isn't brought up. I can't recall a statement from a top name bass player who ever said, and backed it up with a little bit of harmony or music itself, that practice this content in this way because it's music and you need music. So my sharing this reflects on the fact that not instead of musicianship but alongside of technology, people are far more technically able but musically bereft. And a lot of people may have fast chops, but are these chops enough to get you the career you want by doing it online or even in a work situation? Finally, to end this, the poster shared, once a player reaches that level of musical competence, the landscape they step into today is a very different one from the one that most of us came through. It's true. When I came up, they just called me up and I was in studios, I was in tours, I was on records. That's how it functioned. This is gone, so it's a whole new technology. The problem is that the level of competence in music, and this is where I point fingers at music colleges and base camps and Q&As with name teachers and blindfolds and no wrong notes and all the list of many, and metronomes on 2 and 4. The flaw is that while people are exceedingly available and exceedingly understanding of the technologies to get you heard, that most players do not reach a level of competence because I believe your bass teachers haven't helped you to get there. The schools aren't helping you to get there. Colleges, what is that? Vocational music schools. All those things are not helping bass players to get there as bass players. Now, you can ask Charles because I don't know the young man, but I'm going to guess that while he took whatever courses and classes he took, I'll guess that the things that he does on the bass, I think I saw him bowing the other day, it's all self-inspired inspiration. Everything is based on his own path and the pursuit of it. Where bass players will learn from him and people like him is to get on that path and never get off it. I'm still doing it. I'm on that path. I'm an old guy. I'm 73. I'm a boomer. A boomer. You say boomer. I said rumor. I'm a boomer, you know. And I'm still I practice harder than you do. Why? Because I know that music needs to be regarded. So when I play, my rhetoric is so loud and so verbal that the moment I step on a stage, I have a far greater weight to carry. Because if I can't play, people are going to say, this guy's all talk. And it's fair if you say that. So my whole interest isn't really even for the stage, just to get better because I love to. But if people are seeking that career and and that the industry is different than it used to be, the one credo that must be emphasized for your benefit is that if you want a following internationally online, and if you want to get those gigs, and if you want to be known, and if you want to work, then you have got to play better than the other guy. It ain't hard, it ain't cruel, it ain't rude. There's competition in all industries. Don't think they're not looking for the best lawyer at the law firm. Don't think they're not looking for the best chef at the restaurant. If you want this, you have got to play better, and you've got to find some way to do it, either through a teacher like me who teaches you music, or through somebody else who teaches you music. Music. It's the one thing that's an aside. Got to learn groove, feel, left hand, right hand, get a career being empathetic, learn music. Q&As, warm-up exercises, friends. It's a pretty messed up industry. So I don't want you to get messed up. It's time to maybe do something positive. So if anybody's hearing this and you're young, you have a chance to do something. You can, but you got to seek out music. Period. Bass playing or the bass teachers are good people, but they're not helping you with your playing. And they never did. And you know it if you gave it thought in the quiet of your room. How am I playing today? How much of the harmony do I know of the language of music? How did Charles Berthoud get what he got? He did it because he pursued it. That's how he became original. Slappers today aren't original. Did I say this in this? People practice four-finger picking. You end up sounding like the guy who originates four-finger picking. You do this technique that these guys do. I hear a lot of guys. Who does these remind you of? If you want to do something different and get that career, you got to pursue something higher than you already have. And that takes work and it takes music. And I know you can do it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my enthusiasm for you and for educational truth. Questions are always welcome. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the alert button. And I'll see you on another episode.